Hello everyone. For this PPT, we're going to have science, technology, society, and the human condition. Actually, from this PPT, it has two parts. So the first part is human flourishing, and the second part is, oops, second part is this. It's the nature of science and technology in society. All right, so let's have first with our learning outcomes. So we do have three. So first one is to discuss what technology reveals. Second is examine modern technology and its role in human flourishing. Explain the role of art in a technological world, which is the third part. So we're going to talk more about them in our, starting with our next slide. All right, so here we do have human flourishing in science and technology. So actually, one would say flourishing, it's a state where people experience positive emotions, like positive psychological functioning and positive social functioning, and most of the time, like living within an optimal range of human functioning. And also, as described here, human flourishing is defined as an effort to achieve self-actualization. It's where one realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities, especially considered as a drive or need present in everyone. It's also fulfillment within the context of a larger community of individuals, each with the right to pursue his or her own efforts. Okay, so also it states here that the people or the humans are the bearer, and which means we are like the carrier, or we also have a hold, and we can get the benefit, and we can also enjoy um, the things that we can have from science and technology. Also flourishes and finds meaning in the world that he or she builds. So we can have we can find signification in the world that we can make. All right, so let's have the next slide here. This is, are we on the next slide? Oh yeah. All right, so it says here, in the pursuit of the good life, it involves like the rational use of one's potentialities, including like talents, abilities, and virtues, in the pursuit of his like freely and rationally chosen values and goals, because we are also all different. No one is alike. He or she may unconsciously acquire, consume, or destroy what the world has to offer. So, and most of the time, humans whatever it takes to reach and to have the means to an end. As we all know that we are not that can easily be contented with what we have. All right, so here to be able to appreciate the fruits of science and technology, they must be examined not only for their function and instrumentality, but also for their greater impact on humanity as a whole. So as time changes, elements that comprise the human flourishing also changes, so which are subject to the dynamic social history as written by the humans. The various gadgets, machines, appliances, and vehicles are all tools that make the human lives easier because they serve as means and as I've mentioned from the previous slide, actually. All right, so now I cannot really see. Okay, we are already in this slide. Okay, so, well, I'm going to show you a video.
How to live a good life? That's the basic philosophical question. Aristotle's answer was live virtuously. Do what a virtuous person would do, and that will make you happy. Well, not exactly happy, but eudaimon. Eudaimonia, sometimes translated as flourishing, is what we all want. It's the one thing people seek for its own sake. Eudaimonia isn't a matter of 1 or 2 moments of bliss. As Aristotle put it, one swallow doesn't make a summer. It's the result of a successful life lived well, together with a bit of good luck. In his Nicomachean Ethics, basically an early self-help book, he explained how to flourish by cultivating the virtues. Every virtue is a disposition to behave in certain ways that lies between two extremes. Courage, feeling the fear but doing it anyway, lies between cowardice, when you feel the fear and can't do it, and recklessness, when you don't feel the fear when you should. Generosity lies between stinginess, when you're mean, and profligacy, when you throw your money around, and so on. This is Aristotle's doctrine of the golden mean. Whether you can act virtuously or not in part depends on how you've been brought up, your moral education, as well as on the choices you make. If that goes well, you'll act appropriately and feel the appropriate emotions, whatever situation you find yourself in.
So that's more of about human flourishing and human condition. All right. So now let's have the next slide here. Wow. Um, it's there exists a discrepancy between Eastern and Western conception regarding society and human flourishing. So it has been observed that Western civilization tends to be more focused on the individual, while those from the East are more community centric. Well, from Western philosophy, they have it like fragmentary, while Eastern philosophy is holistic. So the writer Sanfrancaro Saranam claims that Eastern philosophy is concerned with general knowledge, while the Western philosophy aims at specific knowledge. So an example given by academic scholar is how Confucius analects deal with both the inner and outer life of a person, which talks about the holistic, the general view of it, while Aristotle's work emphasizes how one should conduct oneself to live well among others, which is fragmentary. So I'm going to show you another video. Here we go.
From the moment we're born, we begin to develop our identities. Who are we? What should we care about? And how should we relate to all these people around us? As it turns out, the way each of us answers these questions largely depends on the culture we grow up in. One major difference between cultures in the East and the West is how they view the individual in relation to the group. Some cultures tend to place more importance on the individual. They're known as individualistic or me societies. Many Western societies, including those in the United States, Australia, and large swaths of Europe, are considered me cultures. People in a me culture believe each individual is responsible for their own well-being. Their circle of responsibility extends only to their immediate family members, parents, spouses, or children. They view their responsibility to others in society, like their neighbors or classmates, as limited. After all, they're also individuals who should be taking care of themselves. On the other hand, some cultures place more importance on the group. They're called collectivist societies, or we cultures. Many Eastern cultures, including those in China, India, and Japan, are considered we cultures. People in a we culture prioritize strong social ties and belonging to a larger group. These groups might include classmates, neighbors, and extended families. They strive for group harmony and believe the individual should make the best decisions for the overall well-being of their group. If you take care of the group, they'll take care of you. So how does this me versus we difference shape our behavior? As it turns out, this seemingly subtle distinction has some surprising effects. Imagine two families each go out to dinner. The family from a me culture might consist of just 4 people, 2 parents and their 2 children. The family from a we culture would need a much larger table to make room for 2 children, their cousins, and multiple sets of parents and grandparents. At the me table, everyone would order the specific meal they wanted. When the food comes, they may trade a bite or 2, but for the most part, each person would eat their own meal. At the we table, on the other hand, multiple dishes would be ordered for the whole table, They would be placed in the center, and all members of the family would share them. Now, let's say a family member was running late. How is each table likely to respond? At the me table, people are expected to be masters of their own fate. So when teenage brother Lee arrives late, the family is more likely to attribute his tardiness to some fundamental aspect of Lee's personality, like assuming he is lazy or irresponsible. At the we table, on the other hand, they're more likely to see Lee's behavior as part of a larger context. Rather than blaming him for being lazy, they may assume external factors were involved. Maybe there was an accident on the road, and Lee got caught in bad traffic. This tendency to either credit the individual or the larger context applies to positive things too. Say Lee was coming from a basketball game where he scored a game-winning shot. At the me table, Lee would be celebrated as the hero. His individual action won the game for the whole team. In a celebratory toast, Lee would likely speak about how his hard work, determination, and focus led him to this moment. Meanwhile, at the we table, the team's overall victory would be celebrated. Lee's toast would more likely focus on how his teammates, coaches, and mentors led to the team's success. He may even mention a larger context, like the support of the team's school administration or fan base. Both of these viewpoints are true. Lee's actions secured the victory, but the team's effort won the game. There is no objective, right or wrong way to think about individuals versus groups. What works for one culture just may not work for another. It's also important to remember that culture is only one of the many factors that influence who we are. So some people from a we culture may prioritize the individual, and some me culture people may value their communities over themselves. Culture is never all that we are, but as one of those invisible forces that shape us, it's well worth knowing a little more about. So the next time the behavior of someone from another culture seems weird or even rude, try asking yourself, how did they grow up to understand the world? Could my behavior seem as weird from their viewpoint? Cultural differences don't hold all the answers, but they can help us begin to understand each other and appreciate the richness and variety of human societies.
Okay, all right then. So that's me versus we culture. All right, so here. Next slide is it says human flourishing as an end then is primarily more of a concern for Western civilizations over Eastern ones. Well, actually, Western philosophy does look at the ideas more closely, giving more specific answer. Finding answers is what like a philosopher does, and vague answers from let's say Eastern philosophy doesn't really provide that because they always have like a general answer for everyone, which is can be not applicable to anyone or to everyone. Yeah. All right. So here in all right, so here is in stepping back and taking stock of things, we begin to wonder and question. Um, One may admire the intricacy of mechanism and the sophistication of mobile application. So another may marvel at the people and circumstances that allowed for such technology. So if we're going to really like take a pause, we can start to ask of anything. So a person can be amazed on the complexity of the latest model of smartphones, and others can praise like the people behind or the maker of the invention. Well, according to mind of the philosopher Martin Heidegger, questioning was not anything without thinking. So, thus, in his view, a questioner is not a dissenter, rather, they are listening. So, all questioning, he believed, gets started from initial listening, that which precedes and guides the questioner. Following this point, Heidegger delves into the spiritual and the pious and the holy. His thoughts concerns the piety of thinking itself. That's amazing. All right, so here, let's have let's have the next picture. Questioning is the piety of thought. Yeah, as mentioned, this is from Martin Heidegger. And he is widely actually acknowledged to be one of the most original and important philosopher or thinker of the 20th century. So there is so much wealth of insights that can be gathered when people stop, think, and question. So questioning is the piety of thought. That is really true. So um, as soon as you think more, you're like drawn more to it. And actually, Martin Heidegger strongly opposes the view that technology is a means to an end because I get or a human activity because I guess Martin Heidegger is thinking more than like the literal thing that we can just see. All right, so next slide is here. So normally piety is associated with being religious. However, it also means obedience and submission. All right. So yeah, piety is like a strong belief in a religion that is shown in the way someone lives, or it's like a devotion. All right, so next one is here. In addressing that what technology has brought forth, one cannot help but be submissive to what his or her thoughts and reflections elicit. It is when we start questioning what that we submit ourselves to our thoughts. As I've mentioned, the more we think of something, the more we are curious of something, it's like we are more drawn to it. So we're looking more answers to it. We're going to research more about it. All right. Um, there and here. So it is when we start questioning that we submit ourselves to our thoughts. So this kind of questioning leads one to search for his or her place in the universe and in the grand scale of things. It is through this process that one builds a way towards knowing the truth of who or she is as being in this world. Of course, it's like some people are going to ask themselves, like we also asked ourselves, like what's my purpose, if we're going to think more about our life, what I'm going to do for the next 5 years or for the next 10 years, why something or this kind of incident happened to me, yeah, everything that happens or everyone who surrounds us, we as soon as we stop and we try to reflect and think, we are going to get more questions and more answers to it. We'll just have to endure how long will it take. But I guess it's there. That's the beauty of life. We're going to know more about our life, your life, everyone. All right. So next one is we have in framing. It's a way of revealing in modern technology. So actually in framing means that it's a way of revealing which holds sway or has the power in the essence of modern technology, and which is itself nothing technological. This is actually according to Heidegger 1977. So it says here the way of revealing in modern technology is an framing. In simpler terms, it is as if nature is put in a box or inside a frame so that it can be better understood and controlled according to people's desires. So, technology, as in framing, is the mode in which everything comes into the open and makes sense for us. Wow. All right, so let's try the next slide. In looking at the world, two ways of thinking are distinguished. So the first one is calculative thinking. So it one orders and puts a system to nature so it can be understood better and controlled. So it is more technical kind of human thought. Okay, more technical kind of human thought. So in it, which people gather information and put it together in order to put it to some specific use. So calculative thinking is always in use with the mankind as it is necessary to the more practical activities and motivations of life. It is the more active aspects of human thought, concerned more with the doing of a thing than of considering the possible consequences. The other hand, we have the meditative thinking. One lets nature reveal itself to him or her without forcing it. So This one, it involves something much deeper than practical calculation, and it takes much more effort. So meditative thinking tells us why we should do or should not do a thing beyond the simple calculative process of actually doing it. So according to Heidegger, meditative thinking is not limited to simply coming up with reasons why to or not to do a thing. Meditation is not limited to expanding on calculation, and it does not necessarily have to have an end of product, as does calculation. So calculation, we expect to have a product, but it's not the same with meditative thinking. So we need only to dwell on what lies close, simply for the sake of the dwelling, and because this is what we do, because we are human. Yeah, actually, calculative thinking, it's like a programmed android or a programmed robot. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. And it's not moving. Okay, that's fantastic. All right, so we have this part. So one kind of thinking is not in itself better than the other. So the human person has the faculty for both and would do well to use them in synergy. Wow. So it would seem on the surface that calculative thinking is more important, since without it, we could not actually build a home, cure a disease, or simply drive a car to a job. We could not go through with any action without using calculation. Compared to that, meditation seems to be nothing but aimless thought. However, Heidegger considers meditative thinking to perhaps be even more crucial. He considers meditative thought to be the cornerstone of human nature and the primary aspect that makes us human and separates us from other animals. We think meditatively, therefore, we are human and we are far different from animals. All right. I'll just have to show you the totality, or like the summary of everything, of about the human condition, about in framing, piety of thinking or thoughts. But yeah, we'll just have to finish every slides for the first part. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, here. So we have human person swallowed by technology. Wow. So although we know today that technology is very important because, well, it is used for almost everything and likely everything. So modern technology has paved the way for multifunctional devices like the smartwatch and the smartphone, smart TVs. Computers are increasingly faster, more portable. So I can still remember before we do have like a big monitor for desktop computer, but now we could just have our laptops, smaller than laptops, thinner, lighter. Okay, and also we have higher powered than ever devices than before. Okay, so it says here, oh, with all these revolutions, technology has also made our lives, that's the best part, easier, faster, better, and more fun. Okay, so before everyone, or like some teenagers or people play Dota um, using a computer, but now we do have like Mobile Legends in a mobile phone, or I've heard there's like an LOL in the mobile phone. So that's how our technology is getting more advanced. So it says here, although it is true that the individual takes part in the revealing of nature, limits must still be recognized. So humans really do not call the shots on this earth. That is true. Humans cannot just make decisions for our planet. All right, this one is beautiful. Next picture. If we allow ourselves to get swallowed by modern technology, we lose the essence of who we are as beings in this world. That's true. So people are more dependent on new technology. Man no longer needs to think. Even if the calculator is a good invention, man no longer makes mental calculation and no longer works his memory, right? So even if it's a simple calculation, we really have to grab our smartphones, open the calculator app. It's also the decline of human capital. It implies an increase in unemployment. In some areas, devices can replace the human mind. That's true. Before, I remember there was, I cannot really remember exactly where did I read that article, but it says before, or maybe I watched it in a movie, but before it's like for those people who are working in the banks, they do like manual calculation of everything, like the accountant or so on. But later, when the computer existed, and yeah, they it also helped people to make the work faster. But some, not all people still have the job because of a new technology. Some people might lose their jobs, so it's not that yeah, it's advantages, but not for everyone, as I've said. Before, especially right now, because we are facing this pandemic, we do have our online classes. But before this thing happened in the world, yeah, this is already predicted. Like especially other countries who doesn't or who do not have English as their medium of education or of learning instruction, they are learning English online. So let's say Korean or Japanese people or the Chinese people, they also have to have like classes online to learn some subjects or some classes. So we are also like thinking. Some people are also thinking. I am also thinking that sooner or later we do have like robot teacher, an Android teacher. So I am really thinking that there will be no more teachers next, or I don't know for how many years after, possibly with the nurses, the doctors, they will be replaced with robots. But yeah, I'm not sure when will that happen, but yeah, it's kind of it's kind of happened. Well, let's have the next picture here. Alright, so if we are constantly plugged online and no longer have the capacity for authentic personal encounters, then we are truly swallowed by technology. That is really true. So with that, I'm going to show you another video.
How Technology Has Ruined Social Interaction by Davion Dobie. Is this your family? Dad in the living room on his laptop? What time is dinner, honey? Daughter in the kitchen on her PC? Getting hungry, Mom. Son on his desktop in his room? I'll take dinner in my room. Thanks. No one speaks face to face anymore. Everyone is so busy with their smartphones and personal computers that they fail to notice what's going on around them. The office is no different. The boss sends a message to his assistant. The assistant emails the supervisor, and the supervisor eventually shares with the team, never speaking face to face. And without talking in person, the work just continues to pile up. Things just get worse and worse. Technology isn't all bad though. It's a great tool for keeping families together. Take for example, the cell phone. It has made staying in touch easier and safer than ever before. Kids now have instant access to a 911 operator in cases of emergency. There's also the convenience from teens being able to contact their parents to pick them up from practice, or mom calling dad to stop and grab a carton of milk on the way home. They're also getting smarter and smaller and becoming even more versatile. They are like regular phones on steroids. Parents are always being surprised with unexpected challenges, like coming up with quick, non-scientific answers to questions. A son might ask his mom, "Why is the sky blue?" Or a daughter, "Why does the earth spin?" Or maybe, "Why does the moon come out during the day?" The smartphone has made answers to these questions only a few clicks away. Whether it's astronomy, chemistry, meteorology, or medicine, technology helps you find that answer quickly and easily. Technology has also been great for business. The cell phone has become a lifeline for staying in touch when on the road. Technology has also removed the strict restriction from having to mail out print ads. And email and online chat has brought businesses even closer to their customers. Technology was created to help us communicate better. What it has done is allowed us to not truly communicate at all. 70% of teens aged 13 to 17 now have smartphones. 92% of them report going online daily, including 24% who are online almost constantly. Something must be done to address these issues. Changing habits will absolutely be difficult, but there are steps that can be taken to reduce our dependency on technology. First, make dinner time a cell-free zone. Closing the door to spend time with loved ones is essential to our well-being. Next, play What Do I Know Without My Cell Phone. Relying on our memories rather than our smartphones will keep us mentally sharp. Finally, don't be afraid to be bored. We should take the time to reflect on our greatest memories thus far. Chances are, none of them involved our cell phones. We should also look at how we communicate at work. Too many people try to do everything via email. This often consumes more time than just picking up the phone. Each week, time should be dedicated to face-to-face meetings. Context and purpose should also be considered. If you aren't concerned about the response, email works just fine. However, when give and take is required, nothing works better than getting out of your chair and speaking to a person face to face. This is a great way to cut down on confusion and ambiguity associated with written messages. Technology certainly has a part to play in how we communicate at home and at work. Choosing the appropriate time to utilize technology and when not to is an important skill we all must learn. Thank you for listening.
All right, so there you go. Now let's have the next slide. Okay, so here we have the art as a way out of enframing. So here, the poetry that is found in nature can no longer be easily appreciated when nature is inframed. So if the earth has just become a gas station for us, then we have become inframed as well. So technology reveals the world as a raw material available for production and manipulation. So that's it. That's in framing. And the next one here is modern technology. The way of revealing is no longer poetic. It is challenging. When instruments are observed linearly, its poetry can no longer be found. So why is technology not a human activity? So according to Heidegger, there is something wrong with the modern technological culture we live in today. In our age of technology, reality can only be present as a raw material, as like a standing reserve. So this state of affairs has not been brought about by humans. The technological way of revealing was not chosen by humans. Rather, our understanding of the world, our understanding of being, of what it means to be, develops through the ages. So in our time, being has the character of a technological framework from which humans approach the world in a controlling and dominating way. All right, so now we'll have, I guess this is the last slide from the first part. Here, although in framing happens, it cannot completely snuff out the poetic character of technology. So we ponder technology and question it. In so doing, we also become aware of the crisis we have plunged the earth into. The danger is made present and more palpable through our art and poetry. So The ultimate danger is humans as raw materials. It's the will to power. So the solution is the releasement. So the will not to will. So every attempt to climb out of technology throws us back in. The only way out for Heidegger is, yeah, that's the will not to will. So that's the only way in which we can let things be, and we can maybe develop an openness for different interpretations of the world around us beyond that will to power and manipulation, where everything becomes raw material. So we need to open up the possibility of relying on technologies while not becoming enslaved to them, and seeing them as manifestations of an understanding of being. All right, so there you go. So that's the last slide here, and the next part is the nature of science and technology. But before I'm going to end this, I'm going to show you, as I mentioned before, a video. It's like a summary of Martin Heidegger, the question of a question concerning technology. Yeah. So let's have it. Try. Okay, hold on. Let's just try to open it.
Technology.
God.
Today, when we think of technology, we instantly think of the tools that are integrated into our everyday routines and the
All right, so that was shocking. All right, let me just have to adjust it. All right, here, voila.
essentially they're there to make life easier for us, like a TV, a microwave, an air conditioner, a laptop, a camera, Beats headphone, an iPhone. The list continues on and on and on and on and on. Sometimes we don't even think twice about what technology does for us every day. We even take it for granted. Technology now is as natural to us as it is riding a bike. We think of technology as a means to an end as well as a human activity. But what exactly the is technology? What do all technological things have in common? We are going to discover what exactly technology is in Martin Heidegger's The Question Concerning Technology. I'll try to keep the Heidegger isms to a limit by trying to simplify his concepts, as well as make this an enjoyable presentation for you as it is for me. So yes, technology is a means to an end, otherwise known as the instrumental, and a human activity, otherwise known as the anthropological. Is this statement enough for Heidegger? No, of course not. It's Heidegger. He says, yes, it is technically correct, but not adequate enough to define what technology really is. So in order for us to fully comprehend technology, we need to have a free relationship to it. And we will discuss exactly what Heidegger means by that later on. It is also important that in Heidegger's world that we do not view technology the way we think of it currently, which are instrumentums, or tools or aids, such as the iPhone, glasses, or even Donald Trump's toupee. But instead, we are seeking technology's essence. It is crucial for Heidegger and also for us that we know that technology does not equal to technology's essence. When we discover technology's essence, we discover the commonality that all technologies share. But let's rewind a bit. Technology is a means to an end and a human activity. But suppose now that technology were no mere means, how would it stand with the will to master it? We will not find its essence if we think conceptually, but rather we need to approach this metaphysically. Heidegger moves away from this idea of instrumental versus anthropological, and now we dig deeper into his philosophical side. Wherever there's an effect, there is a cause. Technology is an instrumentum, so wherever instrumentality reigns, there reigns causality. Heidegger now dives into Aristotle's metaphysics of causality, otherwise known as the four causes. Heidegger uses the silver chalice as an example in explaining these causes. So first we have the causa materialis, the matter or material of which it is made, and in this case we have the silver. Secondly, we have the causa formalis, the logos or form structure in which it is shaped, in this case the chalice curved form. Thirdly, the causa fictiens, the source of the change or rest that brings about what is made, in this case the silversmith. And last but not least, the fourth cause, the causa finalis, the final effect and reason of why it is made, in this case the sacrificial rite. And voila, what is revealed? The silver chalice. Heidegger often refers to the unconcealment. We bring forth from nothing. We think of an idea and make it into something tangible. Unconcealment equals aletheia. Aletheia is Greek for truth. Technology is a mode of revealing. Technology comes to presence in the realm where revealing and unconcealment take place, where aletheia, truth, happens. We introduce meaning where there used to be a vague conception. But how is technology revealing? Heidegger infers that we must think of revealing or bringing forth as poesis, not only handicraft manufacture, not only artistic and poetical bringing into appearance and concrete imagery is a bringing forth poesis. In other words, we must be sensitive and, so to speak, poetic to what is, for what presences are laid out before us. Another important term Heidegger mentions is the word techne, which is skill, technique, and also the arts of the mind and the fine arts. Techne belongs to bringing forth to poesis. It is something poetic. When one encompasses both poesis and techne, one can reveal to us. So based on all of this information, is it safe to say that technology's essence is that it reveals aletheia, or truth, to us? According to Heidegger, yes, but no. Heidegger uses the silver chalice to convey causality, but can this concept apply to modern technology? Modern technology goes beyond causality, and it has also changed the pattern, revealing something quite different and radically new. What is modern technology? It is too revealing. Only when we allow our attention to rest on this fundamental characteristic does that which is new in modern technology show itself to us. So are we only worried about technology, the essence of technology, because we are scared of what we created into the world? This is one of the fundamental questions that Heidegger tries to find an answer to. How is modern technology any different? There is something very distinctive about modern technology. We go farther away from poesis and more towards techne, in which the revealing that rules in modern technology is a challenging, which puts to nature the unreasonable demand that it supply energy that can be extracted and stored as such. Unlike earlier times when man simply brings forth, today man challenges forth. In other words, we use and manipulate the resources nature gives to us to manufacture, to create, or to reveal technology that is man-made. However, Heidegger goes on to say that although the windmill is a technological device made by man, the idea of challenging does not apply here. Instead, the wind is left as is. Yes, we use it for energy, but the windmill does not unlock energy from the air currents in order to store it. The windmill is technology that satisfies human without hurting nature, and what Heidegger imposes here is that perhaps we need more of these technologies. Then on the other end of the spectrum, man challenges resources when he mines coal or when he cultivates his farm soil. Agriculture is now the mechanized food industry. Air is now set upon to yield nitrogen, the earth to yield ore to yield uranium. For example, uranium is set upon to yield atomic energy, which can be released either for destruction or for peaceful use. When we challenge nature's resources, we always want the maximum yield at the minimum expense. So what do we also do? We store energy if we are not using it. Such challenging happens in that the energy concealed in nature is unlocked. What is unlocked is transformed. What is transformed is stored up. What is stored up is in turn distributed, and what is distributed is switched about ever anew. According to Heidegger, these are all ways of revealing, but it is revealing that never comes to an end. Now this is where it gets tricky. Heidegger often uses the term Bestand, or the standing reserve, to essentially describe how man perceives resources. Man no longer sees them for what they actually are, but instead sees them as ways to fulfill man's needs. Heidegger uses the Rhine, a famous European river, as an example. He argues that man no longer sees the Rhine for what it is, which is a large body of water, a river, so we don't see it as this, or this, or this. But instead, we see the Rhine as this, and this. Instead, a hydroelectric plant is set into the current of the Rhine to produce electricity for man. Man does not see the river's natural tendencies, but rather only sees the power it will give to him, and therefore he sees it as a standing reserve. Another term Heidegger frequently uses is Gestell, or inframing. We challenge and see things as standing reserves because we are constantly inframing everything around us. And framing means the gathering together of that setting upon, which sets upon man, i.e. challenges him forth, to reveal the real in the mode or ordering as standing reserve. When we inframe, we unconceal the standing reserve. We lose sight of the things that do not fit in the standing reserve category back into concealment. When we inframe, As humans, we always view how nature should fit with us instead of viewing how we should fit with nature. We are a very narcissistic race in general. Heidegger says that instead of allowing nature as Geht or to give and to reveal on its own terms bringing forth, we inframe and take its resources for granted and appropriate them as standing reserves. When we see this, we actually see this. When we see this, we actually see this. And when we see this, we unfortunately see this. We are questioning concerning technology in order to bring to light our relationship to its essence. Framing is the essence of modern technology. Does this mean that we see the entire world as our standing reserve? Let's look at a contemporary example that eloquently addresses the standing reserve, gestell, or framing, and also Heidegger's concerns about at the peak of human survival, we still use or inframe the universe as an alternate home. We've completely destroyed Mother Earth because we continue to inframe and see it as our standing reserve. Where inframing reigns, there's danger in the highest sense. We see the danger that technology has on the world today, like pollution, the extinction of animals, and global warming. The amount of stuff and garbage we accumulate over time can very well be a scene right out of WALL-E. Heidegger conveys that technology can work against us, that not only are we harming nature, we are also harming ourselves. But going back to poiesis, Heidegger also infers that since inframing is also a way of revealing, man also has the power to save. But where danger grows, the saving power also poetically dwells man upon this earth. Fundamentally, if we realize how our orientation fits with the world and realize that we inframe the world around us, we can save ourselves from the damage inframing has done. When we do this, we achieve a free relationship with technology. Yes, according to Heidegger, we cannot escape the fate of technology, but we should always question technology in order to avoid such catastrophes such as global warming. We must question how to use technology without hurting the world around us. We need to go back to not only encompassing techne, but also encompassing more poiesis. Heidegger surmises that the human race as a whole need to be more like poets in bringing forth. As poets or artists, we need to see the world for what it is, because art and poetry also reveals aletheia. Aletheia is truth, and technology reveals just that. With this unconcealed
All right, so there you go. That's the like a video summary of everything that we have for the first part of our PPT, which is about human flourishing and also um, yeah, the role of art in technological world and Martin Heidegger and everything there. All right, so there. As soon as you Okay, I'll just have to double check everything. All right, so I guess that's all. So I'll be posting some questions for our in our for discussion in our group chat as soon as you finish or as soon as you've watched the video, and you can post there your answers, okay, your opinions or your ideas about it. So I'll just have to give you some allotted time, and I'll just provide you some information. So see you later. Bye.